Welcome back to BengalVerse, where we continue our journey with the second part of the unknown. Previously, we delved into a young man's reflections on his life, education, and familial relationships. The link of the previous part is in the description box below. Now, let's pick up from where we left off.
Everyone in the house was seething with rage. Such arrogance from the father. It felt as if doomsday had arrived. Everyone said, "Let's see how she marries off her daughter now." Yet, who can prevent fate? Despite the indignation, there was the lurking fear that the girl might indeed get married. Throughout all of Bangladesh, I was the only groom ever turned away from a wedding by the bride's father. What ill-starred fate had marked my forehead with such disgrace? The groom's party, full of remorse, lamented, the wedding didn't happen, but Shambhunath duped us with his hospitality. If only we could expel every morsel we consumed right there. My uncle stormed about, vowing to file a complaint for breach of marriage contract and defamation. Our well-wishers advised that doing so would only complete the ongoing drama. I, too, was furious. I dreamt of Shambhunatha's downfall, of him groveling at our feet. Yet, alongside this anger flowed another, gentler current. My heart yearned inexplicably for the girl I had never met. An impenetrable wall stood between us. She was adorned with sandalwood on her forehead, draped in a red sari, her face glowing with a blush, her heart, how could I fathom what lay within it? The blossoms of my fantasy world sought to present her to me. The wind carried her scent, the rustling leaves whispered her presence. Just one more step, and I could see her. But that small distance stretched into an eternity. Day after day, I pestered Binu Dada for details about the mysterious girl. His terse replies only fueled the fire in my heart. Her beauty was unmatched, yet neither her eyes nor her likeness were known to me. Externally and internally, she remained an enigma. My heart, like a restless spirit, wandered around the wall of that ill-fated wedding day. I learned from Harish that the girl had seen my picture and perhaps even liked it. Why wouldn't she? My heart insists that the photograph is hidden somewhere in her room. Perhaps, in the quiet of an afternoon, she closes the door, takes it out, and looks at it, her hair falling forward as she leans in. If someone approaches, she quickly hides it within her scented clothes. Days turned into months, and a year passed. My uncle, too embarrassed, couldn't bring up the subject of my marriage to anyone. My mother hoped to try again once the scandal was forgotten. Meanwhile, I heard that a good suitor had come for the girl, but she had vowed not to marry. This news filled my heart with joy. In my imagination, I saw her eating sparingly, her hair left untied in the evening. Her father, noticing her melancholy, would wonder why his daughter was becoming so withdrawn. One day, he might enter her room to find her eyes filled with tears. "Dear, what has happened to you? Tell me," he would ask. She would quickly wipe her tears and reply, "Nothing, father." As his only daughter, she was the apple of his eye. Seeing her heart wilt like a flower in a drought, he could bear it no longer. Setting aside his pride and anger, he came to our door. Then, the dark stream of bitterness within me surfaced, like a sinister serpent. It hissed, "Fine, let's arrange the marriage again. Let the instruments play, invite the guests, light up the place, and then leave the arrangement in ruins once more." But then, a gentle stream, like a white kingfisher, appeared before my eyes and whispered, "Let me fly to the bride and deliver the joyous news myself," as if visiting a fairy tale princess in her garden. And then? The darkness of the night faded, and a new rain showered down on a rainy day. The once gloomy flower lifted its face. Beyond that wall lay the entire world, but inside, there was only one person who truly mattered. And then? My words were spent, my heart's turmoil subsided, and a serene hope replaced the bitterness. But the speech was not done like this. In the part where it has come and become speechless should be written by me, and let me end my story with it. I was going on a pilgrimage with my mother. The responsibility fell on me, for my uncle once again refused to cross the Hooghly River. I slept in the train, dreams weaving with the car's gentle sway. Suddenly, I awoke at a station. In the light and darkness, it felt like a dream. Only the stars were familiar, while everything else seemed vague. The few lamps standing at the station revealed how unknown this world is and how distant everything around us feels. My mother slept peacefully, a green curtain pulled under the light. The luggage lay disarranged, like the furniture of a dreamland. I found myself in that space between existence and non-existence, in the dim light. At that moment, someone called out,
"Come quickly. There is a place in the car."
I thought I heard a song. The sweetness of a Bengali girl's voice can only be truly understood in such an untimed, unknown place. But merely calling it a human voice isn't enough. Hearing this voice, my heart said, I have never heard such a thing. That voice became an eternal truth for me. Beauty is important, but the inner beauty of a person can only be grasped through their voice. I hurriedly opened the window and looked outside, but saw nothing. In the platform's darkness, the guard signaled, and the train started again. I remained by the window, not seeing anyone, but in my heart, I saw her. She was like the starry night, enveloping but impossible to envelop. Oh, that voice, the unknown voice, in one moment you took the eternal throne of my heart. How beautifully complete you are. You are like a new flower on a windy day, yet not a single petal shakes, nor does any mark tarnish that delicate blossom. The steel sound of the train continued, and I began to hear a song in my heart. It had only one line, "Come quickly."
There is a place in the car.
Is there a place? Is there? What if there is no place, as we are both unknown to each other? But that unknown is like a fog, if it dissipates, there will be much familiarity. Oh, the melodious voice, the expression of the heart, isn't that always known to me? There is a place. You said to come quickly, and I came quickly, without delay. I could not sleep well that night and checked at every station, fearing she might get off. The next morning, we had to change trains at a big station. We had first-class tickets, so I hoped there would be no crowd. But upon arrival, we saw that the servants of English officers were waiting with luggage. A high-ranking officer was traveling. After a few minutes, the train arrived, and we realized we had to abandon our hope of first-class comfort. I was deep in thought, wondering which train we could board with my mother. Every train was crowded. I peered through the doors of the compartments. Just then, a girl from the second-class compartment noticed us and called out, "Come to our compartment."
There is a place.
I was surprised. That unexpected honeyed voice and that one line, "There is a place," spurred me into action. I boarded the compartment without delay, leaving the luggage behind. No one in this world is as incapable as me. That girl, with the help of coolies, assisted us in bringing our luggage on board. My camera was left on the platform, but I did not care. I didn't know where to begin or end the tale of happiness unfolding in my heart. That voice, seen now with my own eyes, felt like an embodiment of its own melody. Glancing at my mother, I noticed even she was captivated, not blinking. The girl, perhaps 16 or 17, carried the freshness of youth effortlessly, burdened by nothing on heart or body. Her grace was effortless, her beauty pure and faultless. I could only gaze, words failed to describe. Even the color and style of her clothing escaped my notice, overshadowed by her innate charm. She stood out amidst her companions like the brightest bud atop a tree, surpassing all around her. She laughed and joked endlessly with 2 or 3 young girls, their innocent chatter filling the air. As I held a book, their childish banter reached my ears. One particular story, heard countless times before, held them rapt. I understood why they were so eager to hear it again. With her melodious voice, everything turned to gold. Her vibrant spirit breathed life into every word, as if a fountain of joy flowed through their hearts. Her vivacity brightened that entire day of my life, casting a sunlight glow over everything. It felt as though the sky that enveloped me was shaped by her very existence. At the next station, she called over a nut seller, bought nuts and chana, and joyfully snacked like a child, laughing all the while. I felt constrained, unable to ask for any of those treats. Why didn't I reach out and indulge my desire? My mother, torn between approval and disapproval, remained reserved. Though I was the male figure in the car, hesitation lingered. Her voracious eating didn't sit well with my mother, who thought it unbecoming of someone her age. She couldn't bring herself to address this perceived indiscretion. My mother, typically reserved, yearned to learn more about the girl but couldn't overcome her own barriers. At that moment, the train halted at a bustling station, and a group of officers' companions began to board. The carriage was already packed, and they roamed about restlessly. My mother was apprehensive, and I too felt uneasy. Moments earlier, a local railway employee had written a ticket and placed it on our seats, informing us that this compartment had been pre-booked by 2 men, and we needed to find another train. Hastily, I began to gather our belongings with my mother, but the girl intervened, speaking in Hindi.
No. We will not leave this train.
The employee insisted, there's no other option, but her resolve left him no choice but to seek out the English station master. He returned shortly, apologetic, and said to me, I'm sorry, but... Upon hearing this, I called for a coolie, but the girl interjected fiercely,
No, you cannot leave. Just stay where you are.
With determination, she addressed the station master in English, declaring that the train had been falsely reserved. She pulled out the ticket in question and threw it onto the platform. Meanwhile, the men with their servants had approached the train door. Initially, they signaled for the servants to load the luggage, but upon seeing the girl's resolve and hearing her words, they grabbed the station master and took him aside. I couldn't hear what was said, but it appeared that despite the departure time having passed, the train left after adding another compartment. The girl and her group resumed snacking and enjoying the scenery, while I too leaned out the window to take in the beauty. The train halted at Kanpur. The girl prepared to disembark, and a Hindustani servant came to escort them. Unable to contain herself any longer, my mother finally asked, "What is your name, dear?" The girl replied, "My name is Kalani." Both my mother and I were taken aback. My mother continued, "Your father? He is a doctor here, named Shambhunath Sr." With that, everyone disembarked. Against my uncle's wishes and despite disobeying my mother's command, I journeyed to Kanpur. There, I met Kalani and her father, pleading with them earnestly. Shambhunath softened, but Kalani remained resolute, declaring, "I will not marry." When I asked why, she simply said,
Mother's command.
"What a calamity. Does maternal authority extend even here?" That's when I realized there is a motherland, a force stronger than any personal desire. After the marriage proposal fell through, Kalani vowed to dedicate herself to educating girls. Yet, I could not abandon hope. The melody that still plays in my heart is like a flute from beyond my world, enveloping everything. And the voice that echoed in my ears that night, "There is place," remains a poignant refrain. I was 23 then. Now, at 27, I haven't given up hope, but I have set aside my mother's command, albeit reluctantly, as a dutiful son. Do I hope for marriage? Never. My mind holds only that one voice from that unforgettable night: "There is place." Surely, there must be, or where else would I find my place in this world? So the years pass, yet here I remain. Oh, the unknown, there is no end to knowing you. Will it ever end? But I count myself fortunate, for I have found my place.